5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, this is Alex Bennett. This is The Ramble, and we go from now until midnight on the East Coast of the United States. And if it's that time wherever you are in the world right now, then this is probably live, or I couldn't do that. Hey, look, as always, we like to check in with a friend of ours at least once a week because we love them. As we've started here, before we actually, started here, Larry Bubbles Brown, who is our esteemed guest, and I talked about ways to go to sleep. And I say, I'll take a Xanax. And as you get older, you need more things to put you to sleep. So that's why I call Bubbles, because he's very soothing.
I'm very.
I should call you every night.
Huh? I put audiences to sleep for 30 years.
Yeah. It's been some dental offices use him rather than laughing gas.
They just have me on a continuous loop, and that puts them under.
Last week we were talking about my dental thing, and I don't want to really get into it again, but the thing that they did is when I go into the room, right, they put me in the chair, and in front of me is this, I guess it would have to be at least a 36-inch screen or something like that, a huge screen, maybe a lot bigger than that, maybe like 40-inch screen, looking right at me. 4K, I don't know what it was. And there's my tooth. There was the x-ray the other dentist had done, and they sent it through the internet to him, and then he put it up there so that when you come into the room, there's your tooth. And I don't know if I want to see that on television. I have a hard enough time with the shows they have now without having to go in and see my tooth.
It could become a series.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful world in which we live, which Bubbles has never adapted to. And I think you're right. I'm beginning to think you're right, because technology is starting to attack me. In that everything that I use to put this show on and whatever, at one point or another in the last 2 weeks has broken. And I've had to constantly put out fires. And then the other shows we have on the network, they call me and go, my machine isn't working. I can't do a show tonight, And I've gotten to the point where I'm just so tired of just the maintenance of this that I'm about ready to give it up, And then my wife says to me, well, then what are you going to do? I don't know. Maybe I'll go out and get a job, okay? I'm very employable at 79.
That'd be interesting. What could you apply for at age 79 for a job?
Greeter at Walmart.
That's true.
And maybe not even that. They might say you're too old for that. You're too overqualified to be a greeter at Walmart. But I just want a fucking job. So, I don't know. I the only thing that I'm capable of doing is radio broadcasting, and nobody wants me anymore, and there aren't any jobs out there. So I finally got out of the business at the time that there was no business left. That's my problem. Otherwise, I'd probably be at some local radio station doing a talk show. But all the stuff is syndicated, and they don't hire a lot of people for radio stations anymore. They got one time let me backtrack a little bit. One time I said to Penn Jillette, porn reminds me of the same 10 women having sex with the same 5 guys. And he said, yeah, just like in high school. And it's kind of the same way with radio. It's the same, 10 stations using the same 5 talk show hosts all over the country. Thousands of stations using the same 5 talk show hosts. So, just like in high school. That's the problem. There's no work for me out there. All there is the internet. Oh, but
But
podcasts.
there should be, but this is the only business that accepts ageism openly. So.
Well, podcasts, they say podcasts are booming. Yeah, right. Well, show me where this one is, okay? I get a couple of hundred people a day, maybe more, maybe about 300 or 400 people a day who listen to this. But that's nothing,
Well, I read there's 500,000 podcasts in the country, and 150 of them make money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, and this ain't one of them. I heard there was something. How many did they say?
They said 500,000. I would think there'd be more.
I heard 300,000. Yeah, but still, I mean, come on. So you're doing a podcast like this one, and you're trying to make enough noise to get through all the other noise.
Yeah, who's going to find you? Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to find us? So that's why I bring on Larry Bubbles Brown to boost my numbers.
That's why the internet is show business used to be kind of this mysterious business, and now it's just like it's.
It used to be that in order to become a star, you had to hone your talent somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do something. A lot of these stars in the old days came out of vaudeville, right? But vaudeville, you know what killed vaudeville? Vaudeville, folks, in case you're not aware, was this thing where you went to a theater and a bunch of acts came out for a couple of hours and did their act. And then you went home and you said, I saw a great acrobat, and I saw a dance team, and I saw this, and I saw that. And, then I saw this guy who jumped through fire. And so you go to vaudeville once a week to a vaudeville show. Well, television came along, and all the vaudeville artists had to go do their act on TV. Now, what happened with a vaudeville artist is, let's say you had an act where you did something where you shot an apple off of somebody's head. Okay, just for sake of argument. And you went and did that, and everybody applauded. Now you went on to the next city, and you did the same thing. And the next city, and you did the same thing. And for the next 20, 30 years, you kept doing the same 15 minutes over and over and over again to a different audience each time. Now, all of a sudden, Ed Sullivan says, we like that guy who shoots the apple off the head, right? And you go on Ed Sullivan, and in one night, you've used up your entire act.
Exactly.
And that's what happened to vaudeville. That's why it died. There were no more acts. People didn't do that.
Yeah, I read the comics that would be in the vaudeville. They said they would do the same 5 or 8 minutes, like 30, 40 years.
Well, when I was interviewing George Burns, we talked about that. And he said, we would go to New Jersey and we'd play at that theater and then this theater, and we had 15 minutes. And it was a solid 15 minutes because we had worked it and worked it and worked it, and we knew everything that worked, okay? And all of a sudden, here comes television. We've got a whole new medium that we've got to broaden out into. Well, first they went into movies, but then they went into television. So, it became harder for these guys to find work. And the same thing is happening to me now. What I do for a living it doesn't exist anymore. You've got a couple of them. Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, a handful of talk show hosts who work a handful of syndicated radio shows. Some of them don't make the big bucks, and some of them make the very big bucks. But I ain't one of them, And at 79, I walk in the door to a radio station, they just kind of laugh at me, Or here's the one they pull. This is the one I love. Boy, he's a real pro.
He's a pro.
Yeah, I'm a real pro. That's for damn sure. No question about it. But I mean, I was never able to kind of suss that one out, to be very honest with you. And so I come and I do this little podcast thing, and I rather than just say I'm going to do a little audio podcast once a week and talk to Larry Bubbles Brown and talk to Will Durst and talk to Stephen Pearl and so on, and we'll make that my little podcast, okay? I decided to do one 4 days a week, and not only that, I decided to do it with video so that all the people who call in are using Skype and can be seen as part of what we call a citizen panel, and I've complicated the whole process for myself to the point where what I do is so complicated that something's going to break. It's just every other day something's going to go wrong. You know, so I have this problem or that problem, or the show isn't, my video isn't in sync or whatever, and I got to figure out why, and then my machine breaks, and I have to take it to Apple to have it fixed, and rather than take 3 or 4 days to get it done, it's now been at least a week, you know, and blah, 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 and it's one thing after another. And then you get the call at midnight from your guy who does a show at midnight saying, my machine broke down, I'll have to not do a show tonight. Boom. You know, so I mean, it's just one thing after another, and I just go, I'm getting so tired of this. I just, all I want to do is a fucking show.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, this stuff seems like it's so unreliable. I remember the wiring in your house must look like a 747.
It looks like, actually, it looks more like, what's that new plane that keeps crashing?
737.
737, yeah.
Bad software on that one.
Yeah, bad software on that one. You know, I got a lot of wires here, and I don't know where they go. And the problem is that every time I unplug a bunch of them, because I got to move a machine out of here, I got to figure out what plug goes to what again. And then Marjorie says to me, "Why don't you label them all?" But that isn't really possible. You know, it's a pain in the ass. So I don't know why I do it. It exhausted me. But then my wife says to me, so what are you going to do then? You know, you better find something to do. Well, how about bitch about you bitching about me? You know, I mean, I could do that. I do that very well, you know. So, you know. But, so is there any major question you want to ask me? Like, usually ask me about famous people and see if I know them.
Okay, yeah, I got the book right
now,
here.
Now, what is the book? When you keep talking about the book you go to.
It's an old almanac I had, and it had this is one section of entertainers, and then the second section was entertainment personalities of the past.
Well, that's the one we want to go to.
Okay, Gertrude Berg.
By the way, am I listed in show business personalities of the past?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay. Gertrude Berg was Molly on the Goldbergs.
That was, I think, a show that was really early TV.
It was radio first.
And I thought it was TV.
And then when TV came in, what TV did in the very beginning is they took all the radio shows and adapted them to television and found out that most of them didn't work. The Goldbergs did work for some reason, worked pretty well. And so the Goldbergs were early TV. Most of the early TV were old radio shows. Gunsmoke is a good example of that. Dragnet is another example of a show that started on radio. And then there were some that absolutely failed, you know, soap operas, things like that, that somehow just didn't work on television. So they had to create new soap operas. But anyway, that was Gertrude Berg.
So Ed Sullivan the Sullivan Show actually was vaudeville.
Oh yeah, in the truest sense of the word. You know, here you've got the Beatles followed by an acrobat. You know, you can't get better than that when it comes to show business.
And probably the worst TV personality in history, wasn't he?
Certainly. The most uncomfortable looking.
Yeah,
he didn't look like he was feeling exactly comfortable being there. But he knew what he was doing. I mean, and he had his pulse on everything because he booked that show. You know, he had the final say-so on every act that went on that show. So if you liked that show, you really had to like Sullivan for what he was able to give to it. You know. So.
Yeah, how did he must have... It's amazing that he saw the Beatles and thought...
I think he saw them. Actually, they didn't appear on Sullivan first. They first appeared on the Jack Paar show, but not live. They just they had a recording of them performing, and I think he saw that and said, "Let's bring them over to the United States and let's put them on live." He saw the value in that.
Wow.
You know, he saw the value in Presley. He saw the value in a lot of those things. It's funny that. Presley appeared on the Sullivan Show, but it wasn't the first place that Presley ever appeared. The first place Presley ever appeared was a summer show called a Stage Show, I think it was called, and it was hosted and run by the Dorsey brothers, Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey. And they brought him on to that show on several occasions, and he became a sensation off of that summer show.
I never heard of it. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of the early stuff you see of Presley is from the Dorsey shows. And what's interesting about the Dorsey thing was it was Tommy Dorsey who introduced a young singer to the world who had been working for Harry James, and he became a big sensation under Tommy Dorsey, and his name was Frank Sinatra. So really the Dorseys were responsible for two major generational stars. First, Frank Sinatra, and then, in fact, Tommy Dorsey is the guy. Remember in The Godfather, the singer wants to get out of his contract?
Yeah.
And he says, you know, either your signature goes on this piece of paper or your brains.
Mm-hmm.
And so he signs over, and then the singer, you know, I can't remember, it was played by that Italian singer, can't remember his name now, is able to get out of the contract. Well, Sinatra had a problem with Dorsey. Dorsey would not let him out of his contract. He was getting so big he wanted to go out on his own, and Dorsey would not let him. So Dorsey said, okay, I'll let you out, but, you know, you have to sign over, like, I think it was something like 50% of your wages from anything you get for the rest of your life to leave me.
For life?
Yeah. And Sinatra said, okay. And then he recanted on that. He really didn't want to do that. I mean, it's a lot of your future earnings for the rest of your life. And I think somebody went to him and got him out of the contract. And it's always rumored that it was mobsters that went into Dorsey and said to him, either your pen's going to hit the paper or your brains are going to hit the paper. You to make your choice.
And
which
was referred to as an offer he couldn't refuse.
Yeah, basically. But that's again, that's the rumor. It's never ever been really substantiated. But what was substantiated is for a long time, Dorsey had a contract that said, if you leave me, you know, you owe me 50% of everything you make for the rest of your life. And I'm sure today, if you had a good lawyer, he would go in and fight that in court and it'd be thrown out as being like indentured servitude, you know. But it was a terrible thing. It was just a terrible thing. So that's the history of that part of Sinatra's life, and then later on Elvis Presley appeared on that show. So the Dorseys were responsible for two big phenomena. But before that, by the way, Sinatra was with Harry James, where he first became kind of big, and then he told James, "I'm going to join Dorsey." And James didn't say, like, well, I want a certain amount of money for that and whatever. Dorsey, he just said, Dorsey's a bigger act than I am. I think it's a good thing for you. You go with my blessing. That's what a great guy Harry James was.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, next.
Desi Arnaz, who I'm just looking at this, jumped out on me because he died I didn't think he was that young. He was under 70.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all know who Desi Arnaz was.
You know who he was, but I wonder what did he do before I Love Lucy?
Well, he was a Cuban singer. He had an act, you know, where he would sing Cuban songs. He was the Latin lover kind of, you know, heartthrob, and he eventually got into movies, playing again the Latin heartthrob, but was never a very big star. But was the brains behind I Love Lucy. He was the guy that decided to film it in front of a live studio audience, which had never been done before. He decided to do it on film because it would last longer. And it was he was just and he had his finger on the comedy in that show. So he was a major force on I Love Lucy, you know, and not to be considered just Lucy's husband.
And a notorious womanizer.
I would not. I would have not wanted to be married to Lucille Ball. It looks like she was a real handful. You know.
Garvey does this thing, and towards the end of her life, her voice sounds much like John Wayne.
That's true. You know what? Also, is very funny about Lucille Ball. She wound up doing a thing called the Lucy Show, and then she went on. She did another one called Here's Lucy or something.
God awful.
And by the last show, if you ever get to see a copy of it, they actually have a mask following her face across the screen. It was to blur it out a little bit so she didn't look old.
Really?
Yes. And I kept referring to it as the blurry show. I mean, you just couldn't, you could see her face, but it was just behind this kind of this blur, you know? And by the way, they have that now. I have a camera here that I own, a professional camera that can actually follow a face and soften it up as you are shooting.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And my wife always used to call, can you put on the Lucy lens? Because I used to call it the Lucy lens.
The Lucy.
I could never quite figure out how to make it work, but it would follow flesh tones and soften them. So, you know. So, but they can never use it in porno because penises would then look soft. So it was it's just a joke, folks. Just a joke. I'm only joking. Okay, you got another.
Joey Brown.
Joey Brown. Oh, Joey Brown was, I don't know how exactly, I know who Joey Brown is. He was basically in movies. He had a big mouth.
That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Big mouth.
And-
He was in Some
and
Like It Hot. That's what I
He was
saw.
he was Someone Like It Hot. He was the guy that marries or wants to marry Tony Curtis, who's in drag. And that's Joey Brown, absolutely. So if people want to know who Joey Brown was, they probably all know that character from that movie.
So not a big career.
Oh, let me put it this way: consistent career. You would love to have had his career, okay? I mean, he was in a lot of movies, but he never. And he was kind of, you know, you'd say, was Joey Brown a star? And you'd have to say, yeah, of a sort. He was, you know, he was a star, but he wasn't a leading star. Get what I'm saying? In other words, everybody knew who he was. Then, if you went to the movies a lot, you saw him, you saw the name, and you knew who he was. But he never became a big, you know, leading actor star kind of thing. So,
Well, that'd be the perfect career.
oh, well, you know something? A lot of those supporting actors lasted longer than the stars they played with because they just kept going on and on and on and on. I mean, William Frawley, who was on I Love Lucy for years, was always the with in a movie, you know? And he had a splendid career. He worked all the time. And the thing was, you could get old and it didn't matter. Because you just, you know, you just kept playing these parts that didn't demand that you be young and youthful and whatever. So when you start out, you can be young and youthful, and when you're older, you play the older role.
Yeah.
But those guys lasted forever. A guy I think about that lasted forever was Walter Brennan. I don't know how many people remember Walter Brennan, but
The Real McCoys.
The Real
and
McCoys.
I think he won 2 Oscars.
and one of his big suits was, depending on the role, if he had to play like an old timer, he was playing old guys when he was young. Okay, really, truthfully, and the reason he could do that, the reason he could play youthful people, old people when he was young, was he had lost all his teeth, and so he would simply take his teeth out and then play the part.
Jesus.
So that's how he survived for years and years in show business. And I mean, you go back, he's in everything, you know. So a lot of these guys lasted longer than the big stars. And you can think about a lot of big stars, and there are only a handful you can name who lasted for their whole life as a major force. So. Give me one other quickly. We got about a minute here.
Okay, this guy died 43 years old, Ernie Kovacs.
Oh, of course. A genius in television. Took a
I
meeting.
remember as a kid watching. This must have been right before he died. But I remember I was just laughing hysterically at the stuff he had on. It was his visual stuff was just hilarious.
What he did is he took an absolutely new medium, and then he decided to use that new medium for what he could, you know, and he did some really innovative stuff. Really, an absolute genius. And it's sad that he died. It really was. I felt greatly bereaved at the death of Ernie Kovacs because that meant I wasn't going to get any more Ernie Kovacs. But it was a, you know. But we finally have come to another end of our reminiscing about old stars.
We'll pick it up next time with Karen Carpenter. Okay.
And in the mortal words of Paul Harvey, and now you know the rest of the story. Anyway. Hey, Bubs, thanks. Let's talk to you next week, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Larry Bubbles Brown, and he ain't going to change it.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, and that's Larry Bubbles Brown, and we love him, and we love having him here, and we will do that every week because there's nothing better than Larry Bubbles Brown. Let me open up the Skype lines here. We start dealing with our citizen panel. Okay, the line is now open. Okay. All right. Okay. And you have to call me, and then what I do is I do a few little magical things here, and you pop up on the screen. Okay, so if you want to be part of the citizens panel, call now. I don't have much to talk about right now. Nothing much happening in my life, except that I worry about everything. I've become psycho. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Oh, you hear that? That's a bell ringing, and it's our first caller tonight is Charlene Martinez, and let me get her up on our screen here. I gotta assign her a square, and I think wait a minute, I don't see her here. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second, and let me answer Eddie Jordan as well. Okay, first of all, let's, I think this is going to be you, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and add Phil Meyer as well. Let's add Phil Meyer. There's Phil. Okay.
Hey.
All righty. And then we have to go to, let's see, I've got to go to another person here and put them up. So Eddie is up, and now I've got to somehow get Charlene. If I can find.
Is it a full house already?
Yeah, what name do you use,
Oh, yeah.
Charlene?
What name do I use?
Yeah,
On Skype.
on Skype.
Oh, I think like Charlene 24 or something like that.
It's not here. Let me
Not
see.
this
Really?
decade.
Let me see here if I can do it.
Sorry,
No.
does that screw everything up?
Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Yeah, we got you. You came in as something really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's our citizen panel so far. Okay, I'm a little out of sync tonight. Well, so what? Who cares? Is there somebody else calling? Oh, Charlie Wallace is calling, but then he stopped calling. So
Are you putting it through NDI?
yeah.
Okay, because I only have a full screen of you on YouTube.
Well, because it hasn't gotten to that point on the show yet.
That's why I asked you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it takes us a little bit of time to get these things together, and let's see here. Where's Charlie? Oh, hold on a second. Charlie's there. Oh, he just his camera hasn't come up yet. So let me cancel this, and let me double click again on that, and we probably should see Charlie Wallace somewhere here. Oh, and let's see here. Charlie Wallace, there we are. Okay, all right. Okay, is Charlie there? Yep, there we go. I'm talking to myself when I say that, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there you go. See now, and I'm not out of sync. And what? You're kind of you're kind of stalled a little bit, Charlie. But now you're fine. Now you're fine. Yeah, anyway, good evening, everybody. How are you all?
Hey, I'm just fine.
Yeah.
Alex, I'm not complaining because I love Ronnie. You know, I love her segments. I love her.
Yeah.
But I had to watch it like 5 times or something now, right? But I have seen it. It's great though.
Well, I ran it last night again because the night before the whole show fucked up. And
Alex, you were Icarus? Is that what you said? You were Icarus or something?
I was Icarus. I flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
With wax wings.
In my desire to let me see here. First of all, we got
Icarus, I think, made a wings of wax and then flew too close to the sun,
Oh,
and
look
the
at
sun
Fred
melted
Donati.
the wax.
Yeah.
How did it?
He had red
would
hair
this be
thing.
Goomba 61? Is that your handle?
Yeah, I made that up so many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There's Ray Renati, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Here in Palo Alto, California.
Yeah.
So is that your mafia name?
I guess.
You may
I don't
remember.
know.
You may remember
Bela
when he was
Lugosi.
out for his walk a few months ago. It was pitch black, and now it's
Yeah, because
What's
of the
with the teeth
daylight
thing?
savings time.
All
yeah,
he needs is 2 fangs there, and he looks like a vampire.
yeah. Where are you? Where are you right now? Where are you right now?
This is. I'm on Lewis Road. There
Yeah.
you go.
Lewis Road in where?
Lewis
Palo
Road.
Alto.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking into the YMCA.
Did you hear that, police? Lewis Road.
Lewis Road.
Last scene.
Yeah.
Lewis Road.
Is that the place where they get mad because he's always talking in the gym or something?
That's
Yeah.
what it's headed.
Let's.
Oh.
You know what we should try to do is get me in trouble.
What you're gonna go? You're going to the gym? Are you?
Yeah. I'll talk really loudly.
I was gonna.
20 times.
To show you how good I am today. I was getting ready for the gym. All right.
Yeah.
I only
Yeah,
have
ready.
only gone once this week, but I was got ready for the gym. That was the operative term. Then my friend Shecky called, and I talked to him for an hour and said, "Fuck it." So
Well,
I thought you didn't go because your tooth hurt.
no, my tooth doesn't hurt anymore. You know when my
Phantom.
do you know what when my tooth hurts the most?
At 2:30.
Right, tooth hurty. That's the joke from.
Sorry,
I have
step on your
to
line,
give
Alex. Sorry.
Albert credit for that joke. He loved that joke. He said, "What time does your tooth go bad? Tooth hurty." Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
say something Alexa or Google Home or something. Hey, Alexa, tell me a joke. When does your tooth hurt? At 2:30.
yeah, right, exactly.
Tooth hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Why is the barn so noisy? Because the cows have horns.
right. You're kind of breaking up on us a little bit, Ray, but that's because you're walking and, Palo Alto hasn't yet gotten used to cell phones. So, it's...
Actually, that's true, which is amazing. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here in the middle of Google land, and it's a joke.
Eddie, 2 nights in a row. You're a regular. You're now a regular.
Irregular.
Yeah, a regular. And you live where again, Eddie? Vallejo. So we got Vallejo and we got Palo Alto. This is kind of an all Bay Area show here.
Yeah.
Almost.
We got Contra Costa, we got Phil, and then Charlene Martinez is in that San Francisco suburb of New Jersey. So,
Yeah, you know what? Where is La Brea Tar Pits, you guys? Because I know.
the
LA.
La Brea Tar Pits are in L.A.
La Brea.
Oh, okay. La La.
In La Brea.
No, they aren't in La Brea. It's the La Brea Tar Pits, but it's actually in downtown Los Angeles. It's I think it's off of Sunset. Is it off of Sunset Boulevard? I can't remember now. Or
Sunset
Wilshire. It's off of
Boulevard is-
Wilshire, I think.
You could drive right by it and not even know it's there.
Yeah.
I was in California once,
Mhm.
but California's huge. I didn't get to see a lot.
I heard they wouldn't let you back in.
Yeah, I think we've lost. Is he there? Are you there, Ray?
He's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Frozen.
Nah, he's frozen. That's the trouble when we have people walking. If they stay in one place. Oh, there we go.
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. You just showing. Oh, you just changed the camera angle. I see. Okay.
I just did, so you can see the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little.
All those buggers
exciting.
and streetwalkers in Palo Alto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hooker.
Yeah, where are the hookers?
Hookers.
Yeah.
Where's Bubs?
Yeah.
Hookers.
So anyway,
Okay.
so today in the news, Joe Biden entered the already overcrowded Democratic race.
Yeah, he's added a lot to it. All he can do is try to be a never Trumper.
He made
hasn't.
Joy Behar cry on The View.
Oh,
She got so choked up from whatever he said,
Well,
Joy Behar, that she had tears in her eyes.
it was his apology to Anita Hill.
You don't have to say something every time I mention a Democrat, Phil.
Well, I would rather say something than spit on him. I guess.
Well, no. No, he gave a speech today. I think his position is going to be he wants to take America back from what he considers the people who are turning it the wrong way.
From the
Oh, you mean to
creepy
make America
scum
great
that's in
again?
No,
there.
not to make America great again, to make it sane
He would
again.
really do it.
Alex, he wants to take it over from the creepy scumbag that is bringing us, into a slime pit.
Yeah.
Then he'll
I
smell
like
her
to see-
hair, and he'll sniff it.
Oh, jeez. Phil.
Maybe you should grab her pussy, then smell
You know,
her
we
hair.
can't have a civil discussion with you. We really can't.
Right.
Well, no, you can have a civil
You're-
discussion.
you're the
you just
perfect-
can't lie.
If
you
you
can't tell the
if you
bullshit
talk
lines
no
that you
no
Democrats
no
try to
the
feed.
lie. Hold on a second. Let me make a point here, Phil.
Yeah.
A lie to you is not necessarily a lie, but it's something you don't want to hear.
Oh no! That's completely the opposite. That is what the Democrats
Oh
do.
no
They
no
put
no,
blinders on.
Phil, no, you can't come back with no, not me. That's you. It's what.
9,600 lies.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Documented lies.
Yeah,
Donald
you guys only have feelings. Your feelings were hurt. Your feelings.
Are hurt.
What are the
nothing logical.
lies that we
What, you don't care about
What are
people's
the lies
feelings?
the Democrats?
Because Democrats
Not
are
like
real
that.
humans.
Not
Right.
like what, Phil?
Well, okay, so Democrats are subhuman, and
They're real
and they have
He
and all they
lies
do is
today.
talk about their own feelings. They don't care about doing the right thing and what's
That's the
not
exact
evil.
opposite.
Democrats
This
are
man
evil.
is driving me crazy. Go ahead, Phil.
All right. Well, the good thing is, I've had this book since 1972,
Mhm.
and I just started reading it this morning, and it's a great book. I can't believe I lugged it around.
What's it called?
It took them that long.
It's called Report from Engine 82 by Dennis Smith. It's Engine 82 is in the South Bronx, and it's the most active fire department in the country.
Mhm.
And they have 9,000 runs a year. What an interesting book.
Well, you just
Yeah.
took us off
Phil.
discussion by throwing.
Yeah, because you know what? Your discussion is bullshit. Biden is nothing but a has-been.
Phil, I have
and
news
he's
for you.
got
I have
nothing
news
to
for
say
you.
positive
No
for this.
discussion that I initiate on this show is bullshit because it's my fucking show.
Well, that's what you think.
I know you're not willing to accept that Charlie's got his fingers up. He does the V sign when he wants to talk. Yes, Charlie.
Was it just today or yesterday? Mitch McConnell said if a Democrat gets in as president, he doesn't care what they do, he's gonna block it. He doesn't care what's doing right. He's just gonna block it no matter what it is. He doesn't give a shit about the American people or what's
isn't
good
that
for
what
American people.
Pelosi
He
is
just
doing?
don't want to have Democrats to have a win.
Be
They won't.
quiet. We get to see some women in their workout
Oh,
gear
yeah,
here.
they are.
So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this is like creepy Biden.
What do you mean this is like creepy Biden?
Well, that's what he does. Are you going to smell the hair?
Oh, jeez.
Hey, let me rub your back. Hey,
Oh,
Nobody
forgot
ever
about
died.
it.
So that. Oh,
Now I
what?
They did die by getting their Medicare
He's doing the
taken.
smell.
Yeah, yeah.
well, that little girl is too young for you to
Yeah, where's
Her
the locker
short-
room?
Yeah.
Volleyball.
That's a nice gym. It's not like mine. Mine's like.
Yeah, the Y in New York is horrible.
Well, mine isn't terrible. It just isn't as huge as that. Now that's a YMCA, right, Ray?
Yeah, but it's in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
It's a
Now,
nice
your
one.
wife works there?
Yeah,
All right.
she do.
Do you have
She
to put a
do.
quarter into the locker to get the key out?
No,
Kinda
it's,
like
no,
at the,
it comes with the membership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
It's a socialist YMCA.
Yeah. No key for you.
yeah. It's kind of a little choppy because I think he's inside and.
Okay, I'll turn off my sound.
No, don't turn
I
off
don't
your
think
sound.
it's the
It's just choppy. The picture is somewhat choppy a little bit, but it's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It's all right. That's okay. We don't mind.
Hey, you can't get it up at all.
Yeah. But Phil, you've really got to stop with this divisiveness. That's what
It's not me that's
you
divisive.
Republicans do. That's what you Republicans do.
Joe Biden makes an announcement, I believe, from Carolina, South Carolina, and he uses a soundbite that's like 1/3 of what Trump said to try to make Trump out to be a racist and a white supremacist. The guy is dirty tricks. And
Dirty
that's what that whole
tricks?
party
Dirty
is. It's the
tricks?
party of dirty tricks.
Phil, dirty.
Hillary
Wait a
Clinton-
minute. Yes, Charlene wants to say something. Yes, Charlene.
I just thought to myself, this was my thought when I saw that spot that they played. How much money did he spend? Because that looked pretty slick and looked like it was expensive. And he hasn't even, how much is he going to spend to campaign? That's what I was thinking. Because he has a lot of money, Joe Biden, right? A lot of people.
No,
really
he
think,
doesn't.
I mean, behind
According
him,
to,
like support money and everything, right?
I don't think so. Not yet. He's trying to raise. They said that because he went in late, that he's just going to have to get the big donors to raise enough money that the small $2 donors that Beto and a number of other people,
Beto O'Rourke.
and Bernie Sanders and Harris, they
What
picked
about
up
Booty
small
Claw?
supporters.
I've been laughing my ass off because that Buttigieg guy,
Yeah.
his name is going to be, that Buttigieg, and I like you guys call him Booty Claw now or something.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't beat up the guy for his name, but I don't.
No,
he's
I mean,
got what?
I actually like the guy, but it's a very unpronounceable name.
Why do you like the guy? Because he kisses boys?
Yeah, that's why. Actually,
Jeez,
in
Phil.
ShopRite, Phil, I
Jesus,
saw two
Phil. Is
guys
that the only
hugging
way you can
in the
identify
aisle
him?
tonight, and I thought of him.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
They were
You know, I
hugging
mean,
each
that
other
seems
in
to be
ShopRite.
a big part of his popularity,
yeah.
especially in California and New York and the main cities of the country,
Yeah.
like
I think
Chicago.
it's okay. to be
Turn your
gay. I
camera.
don't mind it.
Yeah, that way. There we go. Turn off your audio, would you please, Ray? Unless you want to talk.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Good.
No, I'll turn it off.
Yeah. Good. Because then we don't get that. And if you want to say something, go ahead and say it. What do you think? You happy Biden joined the race, Charlie? What do you think he brings to the?
I don't care. I mean, if he gets the nomination, I'll donate to him, but not until then.
It's
I'm
too
giving
early,
Elizabeth
though,
Warren,
right?
Bernie Sanders.
Too early.
Doesn't Elizabeth Warren always look angry? Even when she's smiling, she looks angry.
So
No,
does
it's her
so
opinion.
does Donald Trump.
Yeah.
No, he looks like
He
Mussolini,
looks.
as you said.
He looks like Mussolini. He really does. He has that.
At least he doesn't look orange.
Yeah, but put the chin up.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah. That's Trump. There you go. I mean, I just think that Biden, he's got a lot to overcome. I was talking with a girlfriend. We were coming back from dinner tonight, and she said, "Well, he's got so many things that people could talk about his past." And I said, "That's because he has a past. That's because he has a record. And when you do things and you're on committees and you vote on stuff, that there's a lot of stuff you can dig into to find out about the guy. Now, it doesn't mean that all the things that he did before is how he feels now. Oh, you got your hand up, Phil. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, I want to
you
make a
must
poll on how many gaffes he's going to make this week.
Who, Biden?
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought you meant Trump.
No, Trump doesn't make gaffes.
Oh
He
no,
knows what to say.
Trump, he just lies. No gaffes, just
That's,
lies.
See, you say he lies, but you just take
Well,
shit out
he
of context.
does.
No,
He's
he hasn't told-
documented.
Yeah, well, tell
His
me
father
why.
was
Let Charlie
not
talk.
born in Germany.
His
His
father
father
was
was not born in Germany. He declared on TV his father was born in Germany, and that's not
And
true.
he
No,
knows
his
that.
grandfather.
And,
his,
and how much sleep have you lost over that statement?
wait a minute. His grandfather was, however.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
asked for an example of him lying.
Oh,
That's a lie.
But
Hey,
their
but
name,
Charlie,
their name isn't Trump.
No.
It's Drumpf.
It's Trump or Trump.
Yeah, Drumpf.
Trump.
Yeah, and his grandfather made money opening up hotels and so on. I think in the Yukon, where one of his hotels was also a whorehouse.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a procurer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You should like that. You know.
I should like that.
Yeah, you like whorehouses and all of those things.
What do you mean?
You know.
What do you mean? Why
He
should-
was the Dennis Hoff of his time.
Just because I knew a guy who owned a brothel doesn't mean I like whorehouses.
And you used to hang out there.
With him, I never had a hooker in that place.
That's because you didn't want to spend the money,
No,
even at half off.
I had a lot of money at the time. I could have had 10 hookers at a time in that place, and he wanted to give me anyone I wanted for half price.
Yeah.
You know, which was the money he would make off of it. So you'd have to pay her share. And I
Well,
never.
Trump's grandfather-
Wait a minute, let me finish. And I never took him up on it.
Yeah, well, Trump's grandfather was just as generous and would have done the same thing for you.
Really?
You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you should have gone up to the Yukon.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know who else was up there? I think in the Yukon years ago, running a hotel. And,
Jim, what's
no,
his name?
No, Wyatt Earp.
Brown?
Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, was Wyatt Earp Jewish?
No, I don't think so. I think his wife was Jewish,
Oh.
if I'm not mistaken, or not his. I don't know. Did he marry the woman he met at around the time of the OK Corral? The one he cheated on from his wife, who was like addicted to drugs and so on. You know.
Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a great book I read
I was
called.
just gonna say, did you guys read a Wyatt Earp book or something?
Yeah, there's a great book called The Woman at the OK Corral. And
Oh,
and it
okay.
is all about, what was her name? She's buried, by the way, if you ever want to see her grave, she and Wyatt and a third guy, I guess who she married after Wyatt died, are all buried together in Colma, California.
Near Daly City, California.
Yeah, yeah. Which has the largest population of dead people of any city in the United States. So.
Now, will that affect the census? And do they have to say that they're citizens or not?
Only if Trump needs them as voters.
Well, hey, the Democrats have been doing that for years in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing
I
what?
gotta go
Asking if they were
to
citizens?
Tombstone. I'm here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
correct.
Isn't there another a major place in Arizona that's worth visiting? Is it the Grand Canyon?
Well, isn't
I've
it
never
the
been there.
Grand Canyon worth visiting?
Well, I've never been there. I've never even been to what's the place in California that's only like 2 hours from me that Ansel Adams used to go to all the time.
Yosemite.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
I
either.
only-
also in
I-
Arizona, you have Bryce and Zion.
I only went
Yeah.
to Yosemite once, actually. I only
That's
went
the place
about
with
one
the
time.
geysers. Old
Yeah.
Faithful, right?
There's a guy
Geyser.
living there. His name is Sam. Yosemite.
Yosemite
Oh.
Sam.
Okay. Gee, it'd be nice if we got one more caller to fill up this blank space that we've got here. Say we got a little
So-
blank space there.
So, what did you do in Yosemite when you were there, Big Al?
Me?
What did you do in Yosemite, Alex, when you were there?
When I was wondering who's Al.
Big Al.
No, I went to Yosemite with Shecky. Was the one time I really
Camping?
went to
Camping?
Yosemite. Huh?
No camping, right?
No.
Camping.
Oh, come on. Me camping? Are you
I
kidding?
know. I don't see you camping yet.
No.
Me either. I'm not a camper.
Yeah. No.
What is that? One of those RV vacations that you took, or
I guess. Yeah.
did you
Isn't
take an
that
RV?
where-
Or,
No, we didn't. It was Shecky and I got in a car and we drove. It's about what 3 hours from San Francisco, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we drove to
Yeah.
Yosemite. And we looked around, and then that night we stayed in one of the cities down there. I can't remember which one. One of the smaller cities. And we booked in at night. This is a true story. We booked in at night, And I think we both took the same room. It was a double bed room, obviously, and because it was the hotel was filled up except for this one room, and so we went to sleep, you know. And I woke up in the morning to go look at the view, and I open up the windows and I go, "My God, that is picturesque! It is gorgeous. Come here, look at this, Shecky." And it turns out that what I was looking at was a giant trailer that was parked in front of our window with a picture of Yosemite on it.
Was it Sonora that you were in?
No, I can't remember what the city was down there. One of those, you know, they're all interchangeable, whether it's Modesto or what's the one below Modesto?
Fresno or...
Fresno's a megalopolis by comparison to Modesto.
Gigantic.
I used to work in
Modesto.
Modesto.
Yeah.
And I worked at a radio station. It was out in the middle of a peach field. And
Is that where the antenna was?
And well, occasionally everybody would leave, and I was on the air, and I had to stay there while a crop duster dusted the field. And just for laughs, he would run his wheels off the roof of the radio station.
Wow.
Yeah, which you know left a little brown spot in my pants. You know. So, but that was my.
Alex,
yeah.
did you go through Yosemite National? Isn't that where Yogi and Boo Boo had picnic baskets or something?
Picnic baskets. Picnic baskets. What?
That was Jellystone.
What?
Yeah.
What we
Jellystone.
Yes, Eddie. What?
Jellystone, right? Yeah.
What, Eddie?
Oh, I said that was Jellystone National Park.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's not Yosemite. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, right. Well, don't get Jellystone mixed up with Yosemite. Yosemite.
You know why?
The
Because-
Yosemite is where Sam is from. Okay.
No, my father had this old film that he used to play when I was a kid on a projector,
Mhm.
and it was the story of Old Faithful, and that's the national park, but it's not the. Which one is that?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Oh, okay, that's why I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
And I've never been to that
With the
park.
super volcano.
Yeah.
You mean the geyser?
Yeah. But
Does
anyway.
that still erupt to this day, like on a schedule or
The
something?
geyser does, yeah.
Oh, you mean
They
Old
can
Faithful?
time
That's,
it,
that's
yeah.
if it didn't anymore, they wouldn't call it Old Faithful any longer. Like not
And
as
that
re-
was in
it would
Bugs
just be
Bunny
renamed.
cartoons.
Not as regular as it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be in all the Warner cartoons.
Yeah.
Like Yosemite Sam.
There's a big geyser up near Geyserville. No, but
That's why it's geyser.
there is a geyser up north, up in wine country that I used
And
to
that,
pass.
aren't
all
those
the
hot
time.
springs?
Yeah, but it was also a geyser as well. Yeah.
I go up there and work sometimes with my job.
Yeah.
They have steam turbines hooked up to the natural geysers,
Yeah.
and they make electricity. And I work on the turbines sometimes.
Wow.
The Green New Deal.
Yeah, that's right. But it is, you know what we do is I have an absolute new thing that we're doing here, which is that I am literally putting people up on Skype, or rather on the screen, full screen when they're talking. Like Phil right now is full screen. Because
Yeah, I saw
found
that earlier.
I found a way to do that, which is nice. So every now and then your mugs will take up the full screen. So.
The other night when you did it, there was that background noise. You know, like it wasn't turned down to 0. Is it turned down now?
I told you we don't talk about technical stuff.
I was going to say that, Alex. You were right. Yeah, was it last night or something? You said don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to talk about it. You know, no,
right,
it's down. It's down to 0, Phil.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we didn't meet up with your technical specifications. You know. What happened to Phil? Oh, there he disappeared. Okay. Anyway, he lost his earphone. Oh, mate, while he lost his earphone, everybody, let's dump on Trump.
It was actually, I was checking the YouTube feed, and you're right, it's down to 0. So at
oh,
full
I
screen.
see. Yeah.
Alex,
right.
did something exciting happen in the news other than Joe Biden today?
No.
That was the most exciting.
I'm trying to think. There were a couple of things that, well, you know, here's the thing that really pisses me off. When are we going to arrest Jenny McCarthy?
For not immunizing her children.
Well, she's the one that started the
She's done a
anti-vax
lot of
movement.
damage.
Measles.
She
She
started.
helped the measles epidemic.
She started the anti-vax movement
Yeah.
in America, and now kids are like having measles like crazy because their mothers won't vaccinate them. And I think we should arrest her. I think she caused a national epidemic.
It's the Jews in Spring Valley,
Huh?
Well, she
in
had
Rockland
health
County.
problems.
They said it's the Orthodox Hasidic Jews in Rockland County
Not in
that
Rockland
are
County.
getting most of the,
No, the Jews in
measles cases.
The Jews in Brooklyn you're talking about.
No, Rockland County.
Was it
where all the
Rockland?
Hasidim are.
Yeah, well, the rabbis up there
Spring
have
Valley.
told everybody that it would be to their better advantage to go out and get measles shots, you know, that it doesn't go against anything biblical.
The German measles.
The German measles, right?
Hey, when I was a kid, they just put you with another kid that had measles, and you got it. You know, and that was the end of
No,
it.
that isn't the end of it because there's
Oh, it's
more.
chickenpox.
Yeah, that was chickenpox. But the problem with the measles is the real problem with measles is that it comes back to get you later on. There are several
It
things
lives
you
in
can
your
get.
spine.
It can affect your heart. It can affect a lot of things.
Shingles, you mean?
No, measles.
Chicken
Oh,
pox.
I thought if you got
Well,
measles, you didn't get it again.
Me- yeah, we're talking
thought that
measles,
back
Phil,
in- Phil's a
and
mess.
measles they've found can up to 3 years after kids get measles, they can get something else. They can get like heart problems or any number of different. There's one disease they named I never heard of in my life that you can get as a result of it. No, so far as what do you call it? Chickenpox is concerned. I never had chickenpox, but I must have had chickenpox because my ex-girlfriend Xanthi came down with chickenpox, and she said you're going to get it for sure, and I didn't get it, but I did get later on the shingles. I think when I was
Shingles is latent.
I think when I was younger, I got a minor touch of chickenpox, enough to inoculate me, but enough also so that the shingles then popped up years later.
It lives in your body.
Yeah,
Pop
yeah.
that.
What were
that
you,
shingles
Ray?
vaccine?
Ray, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I had mumps, and I have to be quiet as a guy. Mumps when I was a kid, and chicken pox when I was 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I didn't get sick. I just had the pox all over me. It was itched like hell. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the mumps was horrible. I still remember. I was like 5 years old. I couldn't even move. It was just intense.
Well, they say it's good you got it because you're not going to get it later on. But my girlfriend kept saying to me, "Oh, well, you know, you're going to get the chicken pox for sure. Did you ever have it?" And I said, "Not that I remember," and I didn't get it. But then a few years later, I did come down with shingles, which means that at some point in my life, I had to have had chicken pox. Yes, Charlie, you have something you want to say?
I just want to mention that when I was 5, I got all 3 mumps, measles, and chicken pox about 3 months apart.
Wow.
I'd have good 2 months, and I'd be sick for a month.
Wow.
Yeah, your mother had her hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, I mean, but Jenny McCarthy, I mean, this cunt, you know, I think has been very important in the breakout of this measles epidemic, and I think somebody should take her to task. But she has a show on Sirius XM, and I don't see them firing her for that. You know.
You don't think all of these things are due to illegal aliens coming in, spreading disease and crime? And
Gee,
what-
Phil,
what
I
else do
hadn't
they do?
stopped to think about that. Wait a minute. Let me ponder that for a moment. I'm going into my ponder look.
Well, it's the
answer,
central-
Phil, after my pondering is no fucking way.
Oh, and Dr. Bennett, you're sure of this because?
Because
You know, hey, the American Indians got all sorts of plagues from the white man when they came over
because
to this country.
no, because they didn't have an immunity to it, because they never came across those.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and
since-
chicken pox was a good example of one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, we've built up immunities. I mean, I'll tell you an interesting thing about immunities. Do you remember when you were growing up? You know, polio was a big epidemic in this country, and kids were struck down with polio. Why did polio exist?
Dr. Salk and what was it? Was
Sabin.
it penicillin?
Sabin. What?
Sabin? Oral
What
vaccine.
was Salk?
Salk invented the vaccine, and then Sabin came up with the oral vaccine, which really helped to get everybody inoculated because kids could then just swallow. I remember I did it. Swallow a sugar cube, and they became
didn't get the
inoculated.
He had the placebo.
You know, and no, they weren't placebos. Anyway, so I remember it had a little. I had a
still have the scar.
sugar cube, and it had a what do you call it? Well, no, the scar is that's a what is that?
Other-
That's
Smallpox.
Smallpox vaccination.
Smallpox.
Oh, was that smallpox?
Yeah.
Oh, we got all of them.
Yeah, but anyway, the
8
thing.
years old, inoculated to school.
The thing was that it was a sugar cube, and I remember this little kind of almost purple stuff that was on it, and I just ate it, and it didn't taste like anything.
We were
And,
dropping acid.
and
yeah.
we
that's what I
literally wiped out polio in our time. But the reason why now I've read books on polio, and the current theory on how polio came to be, and why it suddenly became a giant epidemic, was cleanliness.
Yeah.
That we had gotten to a period of becoming very clean and hygienic in America. And so these diseases, which once people didn't come down with because they were immune to them because of the filth, this is true, all of a sudden it became opportunistic because of cleanliness. So it's a very interesting, and that's their major theory of how that came about. And so everybody should go out and roll in shit, you know.
How long was polio around before they eradicated it then?
Polio, I can't remember when polio really hit as an epidemic, but I think it was in the maybe the late mid-30s to 40s, somewhere around there.
FDR.
In the 50s, too.
Yeah.
I knew kids in school
Yeah.
that had polio.
Now, here's I've got an interesting piece of trivia that Shecky laid on me today, and I thought I'd lay it on you. Who created the March of Dimes?
Guy with two nickels to
Jerry
rub
Lewis?
together.
No, wasn't
that
Jerry
was
Lewis.
muscular dystrophy.
No, Jerry Lewis actually invented muscular dystrophy so he could have a
yeah.
disease to fight. But anyway, before then there was never any muscular dystrophy. But
Yeah,
no.
everybody got a marathon.
Are you ready for,
telethon.
I
you ready for
know,
this?
March
Now,
of
and a
Dimes,
lot
I
of you are
should
going
know
to, I know some of you may actually say who. A comedian by the name of Eddie Cantor started the March of Dimes.
Oh, wow.
okay.
And the reason why we associate Franklin Roosevelt with it is he went to Roosevelt and said, you would help us in this, because you have the disease. You would help us if you would endorse the March of Dimes. And FDR endorsed the March of Dimes, which makes a lot of people think FDR came up with the March of Dimes. But he didn't. It was Eddie Cantor.
Yeah.
Now,
Even though he didn't
here's
want
another-
anyone to know that he
here's-
had a malady?
Here's another fact I came up with today that I should bring up to you, and it is an important little fact, and that is because we're currently going through a we hate Kate Smith period.
Oh, Alex, I'm sorry. But I had remembered that was what I wanted to talk about. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I
Yes.
just got excited because I was going to.
And Kate Smith is being assailed because let me look up the actual name of the song here, because
Something
God
about
Bless America?
It was a
Yeah.
it was a show.
no, it's
or a
called
song.
"That's Why Darkies Were Born." Okay, I'll give you a slight shot of it here. I think I can do it. Just everybody be quiet. You can't hear it. The audience will be able to. You won't be able to hear it.
I hear it.
Oh, you hear it?
When this world began, there was work to be done, and it seems that some drafted to the colored man. Brothers, sisters, what must be, must be. Though the balance is wrong, still your faith must be strong. Accept your destiny. Brothers, listen to me. Someone had picked cotton. Someone had a plant corn. Someone had a slave and be able to sing. That's why donkeys were born.
Okay, so I'm probably going to be cut off of Facebook when this runs because it's probably in some kind of copyright, but it's important that we ran it. Now, that is a song that she did, which is from a Broadway show. And let me see here. I got to find something for you. It was from a Broadway show. And now what they're doing is they're not playing her, what, God Bless America?
Alex,
Right.
They've
taken her
drape
statues
over-
down.
yeah, they draped the
yeah.
statue over. There was a statue of Kate Smith, and where is it, Phil? Because you seem to know.
It was a field in, I think,
what sports
Philadelphia.
Okay.
Baseball
It was Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there was a guy.
Flyers,
there,
yeah.
There was a guy by the name of Paul Robeson. Are you familiar with Paul Robeson? He was the
Not
guy that
familiar.
sang in the original Showboat, Old Man River. He
Right.
was, and he was during the communist era. He was kind of blackballed because he was a real lefty, and he was the ultimate black singer back in the day. He wasn't an Uncle Tom, quite the opposite. He was a fully proud black man. Listen to Paul Robeson here. Same song.
So, Alex, it seems like that was like a classic song back then. And should we hate the people singing it?
Well,
It's like the blackface thing. Back in those days, that was just what was around. And
well, I mean, it was considered. If Paul Robeson was singing it, I guess it's not racist.
now we have to drape his statue because he sang it, and forbid anyone to
sounds
listen
pretty
to Paul
good.
Robeson.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great. Anyway, so there is an example of why they're all so fucked about Kate Smith. All right.
Ray's got his hand up.
Yes, Ray.
Okay.
Yes, Ray.
Two things.
Yeah.
You're muted
But
again.
you muted yourself.
She was in the show. She had to sing the song. Secondly,
She was in the show. She was in the show.
And secondly, it's taken out of context, so you don't know what it was supplying in the story. It might have been ironic. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back and see what it did in the musical.
Well, I mean, Paul Robeson, as a very proud black man, apparently felt pretty good about it. Now, let me give you another little piece of
Ray
information.
lip synced the whole thing.
Let me give you another piece of information that I got from Shecky that was important to this. Kate Smith is now being assailed for being racist back in, I think that was like 1932 or some time so far back it was ridiculous.
And
all
it
right.
was racist then. That's
Well, no, it
telling.
wasn't racist then. It
But I mean,
wasn't meant
like-
to be racist. I mean, it was saying this is why they were born. Somebody had to pick the cotton, whatever. Anyway, we now pull forward to Kate Smith in radio and television. There was an artist by the name, and I don't know if you're familiar with her, Josephine Baker.
Yep.
She was a performer, who performed here in America and couldn't get work. So she went to France and became a European sensation. So they figured, well, let's bring her back to the United States and let's bring her back and say, hey, this is the sensation from Europe, and we'll bring her to the United States. And they brought her to the United States, and nobody would put her on the air except for one person. Who do you think that was?
Kate Smith.
And
Alex
Josephine Baker was black. Okay, and he gave her gave her the work. All this is forgotten because somebody went, she sang that song. So what did they do? They took her statue down, and where was it? Some ballpark?
Yeah.
For the Philadelphia
state?
Flyers.
Philadelphia
Philly?
Flyers, and they won't play God Bless America anymore at baseball games. All because of this fucking song in 1932? Are you out of your goddamn minds? Now, look-
Alex, I had to see that story in New Jersey on Monday.
Yeah.
I was picking up my car at the car dealer, and every 5 minutes they would play God Bless America with Kate Smith and say how horrible she is. And I had to just sit there, and I was going to say, "You got to be kidding me," but I had to be careful.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing, and but it's a big lie because the woman, in fact, was the only person that came forward and put
Helped Josephine Baker.
put Josephine Baker in the public eye. And when in those days, when Kate Smith put somebody in the public eye, they were in the public eye.
Now, Alex, you saw that American Masters about Sammy Davis.
Mhm.
Eddie Cantor got in big trouble for helping Sammy Davis in the trio, right?
The
Like
Will
people
Maston,
didn't like Eddie Cantor for being like that either.
the Will
For
Maston
really
trio.
thinking he was great,
Yeah.
putting him on television, right?
Yeah. All of a sudden, Ray is black. Look at that. What happened to
Yeah.
Ray?
I thought he was Italian.
No,
But,
but what happened? What happened to him? Look, I've never seen that happen. I
Maybe
guess
his phone fell.
Yeah.
could have been it froze up. So let me black him out. Oh, there
Now,
we go.
was
He's
Eddie
back
Cantor
again. He's back.
married to somebody that there became some sort of stink about the wife and maybe somebody cheating? What was the deal with Eddie Cantor?
Eddie
And
Cantor.
who was he married to?
He was married to Ida, and
No.
there was never a hint
No.
of infidelity with
No,
Eddie
no.
Cantor.
I don't know. I thought it had to do with some famous actress.
No, as far as I know, Eddie Cantor was like Mr.
Straight guy.
Straight guy. Yeah.
Wasn't he
No
from Brooklyn?
skeletons, Alex, in his
I don't know
closet,
where he
think?
was from. I know his grandson here in New York. He's always talking about Eddie Cantor. I thought Eddie Cantor sucked, but he was like the poor man's Jolson,
Ah,
who by the way would never get to sing at a ballpark anywhere because he did blackface.
yeah, because he did
You know.
blackface.
Yeah, he did blackface, and that was a no-no. That's a no-no.
Alex, they also mentioned watermelons in that song and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I looked it up, I Googled everything. to
Well,
see
wait a
what it
minute.
was.
Hold on a second. We have an official black person here. In Charlie. Charlie,
Yeah,
what
you didn't get mad at
what
me,
do you
Charlie,
think
did
about
you?
this whole controversy?
I said it before. I think it's ridiculous to vilify Kate Smith for a song she sang, 80 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, they
That
Yeah,
was
actually.
almost
part of a
100
play,
years.
as Ray said, that was part of a play taken out of context.
Yeah.
Well, what they did is they I can't remember what ballpark she was in, like Philadelphia or someplace like that. They had a
I think Yankee
statue. Of her.
Stadium is the one that
Do
used
you,
to
do,
play.
you, do you know that in World War II she raised for the war fund, I think something, according to Shecky, over $1 billion?
Right,
Wow.
she's like a big patriot and everything.
She
It's
was a
great.
major patriot.
I
Yeah.
never had any hint of her being racist when I was growing up.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
Oh, Alex, sorry. Out here in New Jersey, ShopRite, the grocery store,
Mhm.
they play like Memorial Day and 4th of July. They always have her doing God Bless America. But Christmas, they still had her singing God Bless America. So it's going to mean, I guess they can't play her at ShopRite, but I bet they'll still leave her there. Because it's like for 3 years, they've been playing patriotic, like 4th of July stuff.
yeah.
It's terrible.
Oh, I think this is the end of you hearing from Kate Smith.
I
And-
feel sorry
For a
her
while.
family.
They'll wipe her out of history now
Yeah.
because she sang this stupid song, right?
Well, yeah, but Paul Robeson sang it too.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Alex, that's very astute of you to come up with that, and that's why I like to listen to you, because I don't think anyone is saying that anywhere, and that's a really good thing to bring up.
Well, Shecky turned me onto the song, which probably will be censored from Facebook tonight. Not because of its content, but because there's a royalty on it. You got to pay on it. Yeah, bullshit.
Isn't this fair play though?
Yeah, but but you can't tell that to a computer. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Or redact the lyrics, redact all the bad words.
Too late. It's already out there.
God damn it. I can hardly wait to get my old computer back. I haven't gotten word yet about when it's coming back. Apparently, they didn't get the part yet they needed. But it's one of those little like heat pads or something. But because I've got my old machine here, and whenever I use it and put a lot of power on it, the fan starts revving up. And I've got a loud fan in here. So if you hear it, can you hear that, folks?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah, it's pretty loud, so I'm going to keep my mic down. Anyway, so now here's another thing he told me about today, and this is the one that really gets me. The transgender community in New York is complaining because they're opening a show here on Broadway, a musical based on Tootsie.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah. Based on Tootsie, on the movie Tootsie, which is about an actor who can't find work, so he dresses dresses like a woman, and he gets a lot of work. Okay? The the transgender community, I don't want to say the gays and lesbians, I don't want to put them in that category because supposedly they're not too hot for the transgenders. They consider
It may
them,
just be the cross-dressers,
no, they
not the
consider them, they
transgenders.
consider them posers. Okay, but anyway, the point is that they're complaining that the part of Tootsie is not being played by a transgender.
Oh, geez, it
Now,
never was.
first of all, Tootsie is not transgender.
Right, it was
Tootsie
Dustin
is a
Hoffman.
guy dressing up like a woman to get work, much like
a
Mrs.
job.
Doubtfire was a guy dressing up as a woman to see his kids.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a sitcom that had two guys that did the same thing?
That was Tom Hanks.
Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
what was
Yeah,
that
Peter
called?
Scolari.
It's Peter Scolari.
What was the name of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Bosom
his name?
Bosom buddy.
Bosom Buddies.
Bosom
Okay.
Buddies.
Yeah.
We've had this issue before.
Yeah.
Did they protest that? Bosom Buddies, they won't let on TV anymore then.
They
Well,
won't.
It's not
I love
politically
that
correct.
show. That was a great show.
yeah.
It's not politically correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, today people will complain about anything.
Alex,
Yeah. Yes.
have you heard about this binary thing?
Binary thing? What binary?
I'm trying to get a grasp of it, and I
Those
apologize.
are two numbers, 0
yeah,
and 1.
that's what I think of, like 0 and 1, like DOS, binary.
Yeah.
But something about you're not male, you're not female, you're binary.
Oh yeah, that's a new gender.
I'm trying to
thing.
get a grasp on that so I can understand that.
Some real zeros out there.
I don't get it.
So
like
that would be the
binary.
definition of being bi? Is that?
Bisexual, it used to be, right? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're binary? Is that what they're coming up
binary,
with?
I think.
Isn't
right?
that like
Could be wrong.
they're like Unix or not Unix? They will do it with anybody.
No, Unix.
Binary.
Unix is another.
Unix is nothing.
is another computer code language.
Oh, that's Unix. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think of binary. Like 0 and 1 is binary, maybe, or I don't understand.
Binary, if I'm not mistaken, is a big yellow bird who's of two
A
sexes.
canary.
Yeah.
I know. That's why I think I'm getting old, because I thought I could handle stuff, but some of this stuff is so way out there that they complain about and stuff. I'm like, what? Like
Yeah.
bring that again? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Talking about getting old, I noticed that my gait as I walk was starting to get less and less, and now I'm making an effort to actually extend my gait, and I think it might look
Bill,
really
do you
stupid.
get up out of the chair and you actually move? Is that what you mean?
Well,
You're
yeah.
extending your legs.
Well, yeah, when I get out of the car and I walk over to the
You
coffee
actually
shop.
Get out of the car instead of staying there.
Yeah.
Well, this is California. Most people order and eat in their cars anyway. But
Yeah, out here too. Yeah.
Oh, I never asked you how your health is because I should ask because, who knows, I may have to lose my prostate at some point.
Has he lost any weight?
oh, me? May 1st, I get keto food delivered. 12
You're too
meals a
fucking
week.
lazy to walk down the street and buy it?
Yeah.
No, you know what it
Jesus
is?
Christ,
is
you're such
you
a
make-
fucking pig.
You make bad decisions when you're hungry. So what happens is with this thing, I've got this bag, and the meals come pre-prepared,
Phil,
and
Phil,
it's nice
just
stuff.
go down to Costco, buy a bunch of steaks. Go down to and buy a bunch of
I'm
eggs.
not home all
a
day.
bunch of eggs, and a bunch of bacon. And you want something to eat as a nibble? Hey, pistachio nuts are pretty good.
Well, I'm not home all day. Oh, Mr. Jordan here wants.
Yes,
to say
Mr. Jordan. Eddie?
Do all
Eddie?
12 meals get delivered at the same time?
something. The 12 meals come at the same time,
Yeah.
but you microwave them.
That could be a problem for me.
Oh, well, you see, what happens is you get. I could have gotten 18, but I said I don't want to eat steak for breakfast. Well, maybe I do, but there's salmon, there's all sorts of stuff, and instead of potatoes, they're made with cauliflower.
But anyway, you've
and-
gotten off the main track of what I wanted
Well,
to ask you.
I was asked about weight. That's,
No, I didn't.
Yeah, but are you getting
no,
healthy?
you imaginarily were asked about weight. I didn't ask about weight.
Oh, the Charlene asked.
No, I was asking about your prostate or lack thereof. Are you still having to wear Depends?
No.
No. Okay.
No, but I take a pill that's supposed to suppress
the
the
oxybutynin.
leakage. Yeah, maybe it's like that, but that's not the one.
Okay, because I
that
want to know
type-
if I ever have to have it removed.
Well, the oxybutynin, which is
That's right.
what Charlene mentioned,
Because
is the
women
same.
take that too.
Right.
So you don't have to wet yourself. Yeah.
Right, you don't get urges. Occasionally you laugh.
By the way,
if I
folks,
pass gas.
our discussion here has gone from Trump
Biden.
and Biden
Smith
to peeing your
to
pants.
diapers
So
and,
just know
Yeah.
that we covered it all. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I doubt that they're going to have to remove your prostate, and not at 79.
Here's what they do at my age. They give you hormones, which can cause you to gain some weight. It can also cause you to have hot flashes in some guys. But what that does is that suppresses the tumor in the prostate and reverses your PSA count. Okay. And it's a way of handling it in cases like mine where I probably have a very light cancer that's contained in the prostate, and that's how they do it. But I have to go in once a month to get a shot, or they can do it every 3 months eventually, and whatever. But that's my situation. But the
Alex.
reason I was asking is if they had to remove the prostate, I'd like to know that you've been able to start controlling peeing your pants.
That I've been able to control, but it took 6 months. The other thing is that you were talking about the hormones.
So there were
but,
6 months of wet spots in your pants?
No, 6 months of depends.
Oh, okay.
Alex, what
And-
do they give you? Estrogen or testosterone?
They want to minimize the testosterone.
So they give
They
you
don't give
estrogen?
you estrogen. They give you something else. I can't remember what it's called.
It's a male hormone.
But the
though.
reason,
See-
the reason they do it is the other way they can do it, but they're not going to do it so far as I'm concerned, is they remove your testicles. That will also stop the cancer.
They can also give you
Wow.
chemo,
Huh?
but they can give you chemo. But I was going to say something about the testosterone.
Yeah.
My testosterone level was is around 400, and they say for a 65-year-old guy that's not so bad. But I wanted 1,200 testosterone, like an 18-year-old guy. This way you lose weight and you start developing a
By the way, for
six-pack.
people who are listening, testosterone isn't an Italian dessert. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so my nutritionist says that higher levels of testosterone will induce cancer. So if you've got cancer, the testosterone will help the cancer grow. And so since I've had cancer, they recommended that I don't augment the testosterone.
Oh no, you don't want to. That's what it is they want to kind of minimize that. And at my age, I don't need it anymore anyway.
Yeah.
Plus, if I grow some breasts out of it, hell, I'll just sit around feeling myself up. It seems to
God,
me
Alex,
like a
when
good
you were
idea.
talking about, like, was it castration? Oh God, I felt, even though I'm not a guy.
Yeah. Well,
I know
I'm
guys-
sorry. I would
Ooh.
rather die of prostate cancer than to have somebody take away my balls, and then I'd
Cut
be
'em
doing the
off,
show
yeah.
sounding like this.
Right,
You
right.
know.
Oh God, isn't that what they said Michael Jackson did or something? Where he took drugs that kept his voice high.
No, he just kept
Okay,
grabbing
never
his
seen that.
crotch so much that it inhibited his testicles.
Oh,
I
they
don't
used
know.
to do it to opera singers. I think I've
Oh
heard
well,
of
those
something
were
like that.
they were called castratas. They would
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they used to have boys choirs in Europe and in the very early ages. In order to keep their voice, that nice, high, beautiful voice they have, they would castrate them, and they were known as castratas. Yeah.
Alex said that he had his tooth removed and he was worried that his voice was going to change. And I said, no, you
speaking
sound just like Lou Ferrigno. And so,
Always the guy, always a guy who loves to compliment me.
yeah.
Where did
Hey,
that go?
can you imitate Lou Ferrigno?
Actually, I think I can. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Well,
Charlene.
no,
didn't-
the reason he
He was
talked
deaf.
that way, the reason he
He was
talked
deaf,
that way
right?
was because he was deaf.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So you're making
Yeah,
fun
deaf.
of a deaf guy.
Well, he can't
Good
hear me.
going, Phil. Making fun of a deaf guy.
Yeah, but the deaf guy can't hear me.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's different. Does a tree make noise in the forest when it falls?
Getting back to the to Kate Smith thing.
Yeah.
Are we getting just a little too particular about what people did 75 fucking years ago?
Ah,
When I mean, is Old Man River racist? Paul Robeson sang that one in Showboat.
And then, is there anything in Porgy and Bess? I don't know that show that well, but I'm thinking
I'm
Porgy
sure
and
there is,
Bess.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
that have something like racist in it that they think now?
Yeah, well,
Fiddler on the Roof is racist.
Yeah, well, this is a funny story. There was a guy. I was told this by a writer, Harlan Ellison, told me this story. That he phoned up his agent, and his agent answered the phone and was laughing his head off. And he said, "I can't talk to you right now. I have to stop laughing. I'll call you back." And he's just laughing his head off. So finally, about 5 minutes later, the agent calls back. He said, "You'll have to excuse me for laughing that hard. But some guy, one of my clients, just called me with what he considered a genius idea." And Harlan said, "What was that?" He said, he proposed I try and pitch to the movie studios a white version of The Wiz.
Yeah, of Oz.
No, The Wiz, the show
Yeah,
The
well,
Wiz.
the Wiz was
That was the
black
version.
version.
Yes,
Wow.
yes,
Right.
and there was a white version of The Wizard of Oz, of course. Oh, boy,
Harlan Ellison's a science fiction writer. I got a ton of his books.
Oh, yeah. Hey, crusty guy, however. Crusty guy. He hated to be called a science fiction writer.
I know.
He referred to himself as a futurist, okay? So whenever I would interview him, I would never refer to him as a science fiction writer. I would call him a futurist. And one time when we're doing an interview, he referred to me at one point as a disc jockey. Now, that's a term I hate. because even when I was playing records, I'm sorry, but calling me a disc jockey is kind of demeaning. You know, like, what are you, a disc jockey? Huh? So he called me a disc jockey. So I said, disc jockey? He said, yeah, disc jockey. I said, oh, nice to hear that from a science fiction writer. That was my one thing with Harlan Ellison, you know, who did write some good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was the WPLJ days, I think, Alex, right? Is that when you interviewed him?
I'm trying to remember when I did Harlan.
Or your California days?
I think I might have been in California when I interviewed Harlan, to be honest with you. Yeah. Now, he had written probably one of the best Star Trek episodes ever, City on the Edge of Tomorrow, which is I think was the only episode he ever wrote for Star Trek.
And he used to make the talk show circuit. I remember seeing him on talk shows and stuff.
Yeah.
He wrote A Boy and His Dog.
Yeah. Damien doesn't like him, though, because of his position on certain things. Like the fact that he, I don't know, said there are no explosions in space or something like that. And that's why he didn't like explosions in movies in space.
Yeah.
He was always, you know, the naysayer, as it were.
You try to
need
be
air?
controversial or something.
Huh?
Do you need oxygen to have an explosion?
You need
I
some
know you
kind
need
of
it for
medium
fire.
to carry
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. By the way,
no air in space.
I just got through watching the most incredible documentary that the BBC did on the history of the cosmonauts, the Russian space program. Man, oh man. I mean, for a while there, they were just beating our ass in space.
Yeah.
And
How about that Sputnik?
That's why we had to get to the moon first.
That's why we had to get to the moon first, exactly.
They killed us getting orbital space. They even got the first woman in space and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, well, they got
were beating our socks off.
what they got was first of all, they got the first man in space, who was Yuri Gagarin, okay, and then
The monkey also?
no, then they sent up they sent up a
A
dog.
monkey, a chimp.
No, we sent up a chimp.
Oh, a dog?
We sent up a chimp. They sent up a dog, and I remember the dog's name. His name is Laika. And what they never revealed until just recently was that Laika did not survive the trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And then they sent up German Titov, I guess. I've got to turn that off so this doesn't keep doing that.
I think it's in Skype.
No, it's not in Skype. That's not Skype. That's some other program.
Oh.
You just go into it, you find it, and you turn off the notifications. German Titov, I think, was maybe the second Russian in space, and he did more orbits. I think Gagarin only did one orbit, and this guy did like a day or something like that. And then they sent up a woman, Valentina Tereshkova. How do I remember these names? I can't remember my wife's name, and I remember these
How many
names.
Love
times-
space.
How many
You
times
love
did
stuff
White?
like that, right?
How many times did White and McDivitt circle the globe?
That I can't remember. I think only a couple of times.
163 times.
163 times? Okay.
Yeah.
But
164, yeah.
Valentina Tereshkova was the first woman in space.
She bring her a tennis racket?
Right. But she was pretty good. And then they started in this documentary. They started showing how some people died in their space program. They had many more deaths than we did.
Yeah.
They had one that there were three guys two guys, maybe two or three guys in the space capsule. And everything went fine. They went around the Earth and everything, and then it landed, and the parachute deployed perfectly, and the thing landed on Earth. And they opened up the capsule, and they were all dead.
Wow.
They were all dead, and
Like
somehow
how many, three?
the oxygen had fucked up on the re-entry.
Ooh, so they like suffocated or something?
Yeah. But there were a lot of almost near misses too. Gagarin almost was killed, but he piloted the thing himself in. In one case, a guy was coming and the parachute wouldn't deploy. And they land on hard land. They don't land on water, although if they landed on water, the guy'd be dead too. You know.
Didn't they have some that didn't come back from space?
I think everybody, Eddie, did most of them came back from space. I don't think anybody was left up there floating around. There was no story to that extent. But yes, Charlie.
I think if I remember correctly, they actually had astronauts that landed out they didn't land where they were supposed to land, and they got attacked by wolves or something. So they always had guns in the Russian flights after
they
that. So
actually they landed in the wilds of Russia,
Siberia or something?
well, an area where most people don't go and can't get into, and they landed there, and they had to stay in the capsule to keep warm all night, and they sent out a signal, and they managed to find them, and they had to literally sled in 10 miles to where they were, and then take them back by sled.
No helicopters in those years?
Huh? They had helicopters, yeah, but the helicopter couldn't get into this area. That's why they had to take the helicopter only so far and then do a sled. But I mean, it's fascinating, the program. The whole program was headed up by a guy named, I'm trying to remember his name now. I can't. I can't figure out I can't remember what his name was now, but he was the head of the program, and he died at a certain point. Had a heart attack and died, and they never seemed to recover after that.
The Russian space program.
Yeah, their program was going great, and then all of a sudden, this guy dies, and it just didn't have.
What
the
year
same...
was that, Alex, when he died?
Oh God, I don't know. I can't remember.
You don't remember?
Can't.
What is
Would
the
have
show?
to have been in the 60s, right?
PBS.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
No, this was a BBC documentary.
BBC.
Yeah.
Is it on Netflix or something?
No, I had to get it from somewhere.
Oh,
Okay.
because I want to see
Enough
it.
said.
Enough said. You know what I'm talking about, Charlie?
Yeah.
Go for
Yeah.
it. It's called Cosmonauts, and it's really. I mean, you didn't realize how much the Russian. I mean, they're cosmonauts. But really, they figured they weren't going to live long. They put them up in rockets. They didn't know. 3 of them had blown up, and now they're putting them up in the 4th one, hoping it'll work.
They just misspelled. What do the Japanese do? Kamikazes. Yeah.
They were
Cosmonaut kamikaze.
Yeah. No, they were. Kamikaze's
Well,
a
of
drink.
course, we're not going to we were trying to downplay Russian being successful because we wanted to be successful, the USA, right? So we really don't know how, they were doing a lot more probably than we were, and it was a good thing they tried it before we did, right? And then
Well, they kept quiet about about their program and the misses of it. Like, for instance, they acted like Laika came back and
right.
was fine.
They didn't know
yeah.
let us know that it failed as much
Yeah.
as it did.
Yeah, and they had a lot of deaths, and they had a lot of near misses. They had a lot of some of the stories they tell here are absolutely scary. The most scary story they tell, actually, it ends the whole thing, is they finally got the better of the United States in that they put a space station up there first, the Mir.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mir was up there, and they sent Americans to join the 2 cosmonauts who were on the Mir. But the only way, because Russia was starting to go through money problems, and of course there was the whole change in going from being Russia to being
Soviet Union to Russia.
And they didn't have money, so they relied on the Ukraine to send up rockets to supply them with food. And they had this guy on the ground who's like playing like a video game, trying to get it to dock with the Mir. And instead, I don't know, he pushed the button and the thing starts going right into the Mir and crashes into it.
Smoke and mirror.
Yeah, and they had to take part of it, and it's a whole thing about how the hell they got out of there and how they saved their lives and kept from being killed because of this classic clusterfuck that happened, So.
Oh, Alex.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm changing something, but I just did you see Diane Keaton is doing a movie
By the way,
about...
wait a minute. Hold on a second. Ray, are you there? Because I think Ray isn't there anymore. I think he froze. Yeah.
No, not for me. You didn't.
So
He's not on the Skype.
Yeah, let me take him
Not
out.
on Skype.
Let me take him out of the. Well, you see, I can't tell that here because what happens on my screen here with my little setup is that he's just frozen there, and he's been frozen there for quite a while. So what I do is I just simply remove him. Poof! There we go. So
And he's gone.
yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
But Alex, did you ever think you'd see? I think it's funny. Diane Keaton in a nursing home. She's an ex-cheerleader, and she, I guess, gets the ladies in the nursing home together with pom-poms to be. I mean, it's so. I got to go see this because I think it's hysterical. Diane Keaton in a nursing home, like as an old lady.
I thought I was mistaken when you said that because I figured it was logical that Diane Keaton is in a nursing home.
I know she is pretty old, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
She must be almost 60.
Well, that's not old enough.
Oh, she's a little older than that, my friend.
No, you're too
Yeah,
young at
she's-
60 for a nursing
I'm-
home.
She's in her 70s.
I'm busting chops.
You know.
But I have to see this thing. But it's one of those stupid, those commercially, stupid movies and all that. Like I don't know. But I would see
what do you mean
it. I don't think
commercially
it's gonna be that
stupid
good.
movies? You want commercially stupid movies? The Avengers is out today, right?
Right.
Talk about
right.
commercially stupid movies. And I know how it ends, folks.
Ah,
And I could ruin it for you.
Spoil it,
But
yeah.
from what I understand, Marvel did a good enough job of ruining it for you just by making the fucking movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the Marvel thing or no?
No.
They hope so,
It
Yeah,
can still
the
go on,
Avengers.
Okay.
Looks like Ray's on his way
Yeah,
back.
I see that Ray is back, and so
Yeah,
we
my
can-
battery died.
Your battery died. Oh.
Yeah, so I charged it, and now I'm back.
Well, okay, there we go. There he
Hey,
is.
what's this Coachella thing? They keep
Coachella,
talking.
Coachella.
Yeah, Coachella. I guess there's a huge spike in herpes reported on the festival grounds. What is this? They were all
It's a music
talking.
festival, like
apparently they have a lot of sex.
Yeah?
Beyonce does it. And
You should like it, Phil. It's run by a bunch of really right-wing Republicans
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is this festival?
in Coachella.
Is that
think
where they
so.
buried all those kids in a bus?
I think so. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Oh,
40 years
so-
ago. Or whatever.
Yeah.
By the
Back
way,
California?
we are honored this morning once again, or this
Oh,
evening
great.
once again, or this morning to him,
This morning.
with
Yeah.
the presence of Bree. Hello, Bree. How are you?
Good, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Do you want to know how Avengers ends? No, I'm not going to tell you. Shecky went to see it, and he was bored out of his skull.
They said that it opened to a $900 million open, the Avengers.
Really? That's
I
worldwide.
can't keep these things straight. Like, I
No.
can't remember everything that happened in previous episodes for all these different things.
Yeah.
I have to watch YouTube to have it explained, you know?
Yeah. By the way, Bree is in Dubai, if you're not aware of his presence. So that shows you how international our little conglomeration is. And we just lost him. Anyway.
No, he just moved from his
Now,
chair.
where's Ed?
Yeah.
Where-
Now we're looking at two different
He's in
chairs
Dallas.
here. Ed's up
What's
there.
Ed's location?
There he is.
What say,
that the Dubai
say,
flag?
say something, Bree. That'll
Yeah.
make your camera go on for us. Say something, Bree.
Yeah, I'm here.
Something.
Something.
You see, you have
something.
to, when you talk, your picture will come on, and then we can see what you're trying to show.
You'll be
it.
full
I see.
screen if you talk.
Well, if
It's
you
a
shut
Dubai
up, for it.
keychain.
Everybody
Keychain.
shut up.
There he
Bree,
is.
talk to me.
Yeah, that's the UAE flag. So
There, we
so-
can, no, you hold it up again. Hold it up again. Hold it up. There we go. That's the UAE. That's United Arab Emirates, ladies and gentlemen.
that's
Is that Dubai?
correct.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we are one city, one emirate within.
So that racists out there don't know the difference between the United Arab Emirates and everything else. They now have the motto, "We didn't kill Khashoggi." So,
Yeah.
You know, the Italian flag that Ray is wearing looks very similar, with the colors to the flag in the Dubai flag.
The black was in that flag.
Well, there's a little black in everything.
That is because
not in
my
you, Phil.
uncle-
You're the whitest guy I know.
That's
Somebody
true.
was Sicilian, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have anybody who sews out there? I have this tie I really like, and it's fading on this side right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You see?
That's not fade. It's wearing
fraying.
through.
Yeah, wearing.
Fraying, yeah.
Can that be sewed?
Only if you make it a narrow tie.
Well, why don't you take it to a tailor or somebody
Tailor.
like that in
Yeah.
Dubai?
Okay, here's the second
Aren't the
one.
narrow ties coming back into fashion?
I really love that tie.
Yeah.
You can tell I use it a lot. And I love this this T-shirt. It's from British India. It has this wonderful little elephant.
Oh, that's nice.
If you look right here at the where the pocket meets
Oh,
the
it's tearing.
skirt. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
little
Just
bit of a tear there.
take
You
that-
think they can fix that?
Do you have a thing there called dry cleaners?
Yeah.
Because most dry cleaners also will do sewing and things like that.
Oh, we have a lot of sewers. There's a lot of and a lot of typers.
Seamstress.
You got Nordstrom's there? You
But
get a
do you
new
think
one.
they can do that?
What? Fix your pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah. They just take the
They'd have
pocket
to
off
be
and they'll
pretty
raise
good.
it up.
Hellbree, send it to me, and I would put a couple little stitches.
They could take the pocket off
Get a
and they
needle
can
and
raise
some
it
thread
up.
that
So
matches
look,
the
look,
China.
if folks, I want you to, I want you to check out what we have accomplished tonight. We went from Trump and Biden to peeing in your pants to how can I sew up my tie. This
Right.
is
And
entertainment,
my British India
folks.
T-shirt.
It doesn't get much more entertaining than this. Okay.
I'm really torn because
No,
I'm
that
not
shirt's
a big-
torn.
the shortest. Yeah, torn. I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden, but he is a Syracuse University alum, and so am I. And so, to have a Syracuse University alum as president would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
It's too soon. It's too soon.
Too soon.
It is to see what's going to happen. I mean, we know he's running now, but we have to see what happens.
He's 79. How fast can he run? Or 76.
He's old school.
well, I'm a little out of sync now. Finally, there were enough of you
Maybe that's for me calling in, Alex.
to put me out of sync. Yeah, you just yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I can live with it. You know, people can live with it. Once I get my old machine back, which is the new machine, we won't have this problem. You know,
You are Justin Timberlake, Alex. You're out of sync.
I'm out of.
Oh, right.
Ba-da-boom.
So, Alex, you said if the old machine, when you get it back, fails, then you're going to have to buy a whole new one or something, right?
No, I'm not going to buy a new one. No,
You're not
it's
gonna,
been
you said.
fi-
That's
it's been-
right.
it's
You
been-
did say that. I heard
It's
you
been
right.
fixed, and pardon me, folks, if I'm a little out of sync. It's been fixed. Okay, that's the point. It's been fixed, but there was a heat pad, a little too much, about 2% heat going to the new part, and so they need to put in a heat pad, which may have come dislodged in all their fixing it, and they were waiting for that to arrive, and I guess it hasn't yet. But they said as soon as they put that in, I get the machine back. So, yeah, time will tell.
Well, on Thursday, Saudi Arabia put 37 men to death. They've executed 105 people so far this year, and one of the guys that was crucified was put on public display after he had been dismembered.
Barbaric.
Nah, the Saudis know how to deal with this.
It's a good
pickpockets.
ally to have.
Yeah.
Wow. So anyway, there's look, we're seeing what Ray is.
A Russian paper.
It is
Somebody leave a Russian paper? Does it say anything about Kim Jong Un having champagne
I read
with
this every morning.
Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, Kim Jong Un was
Yeah,
in
Yeah, it's right
in
here.
Russia.
It says on-
You know.
Yeah. Now Putin and Un are best friends.
Well, at the risk of going out of sync, I want to say something here, which I will say in a moment as soon as I do this. Did you hear that Kim Jong Un sent a bill to the United States for $2 million for taking care of that guy who died. They sent back and died. Warm beer.
Oh,
No.
the American
Yeah, warm beer.
that ripped the
Oh,
post
wow.
Warm
down.
beer. Yeah.
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 Otto
Nice.
Warm Beer.
Nice guy to make friends with, Donald.
And it was
Yeah.
paid too, I believe.
No. Really?
Yeah. What were you saying? What did you say, Eddie?
Trump sent one of his envoys over there, and the bill was paid. Is what I'm hearing.
We paid that bill at $2 million.
Yeah, I just heard about it this afternoon, but
I had heard that he had asked for it, but I didn't know that he,
And Trump paid the bill.
The one bill Trump paid, huh?
Yeah. Yes, Bree.
I'm wondering if there is a North Korean restaurant here in town, and I'm wondering, maybe I go there for lunch, and I take some photos. But I don't know. Am I allowed to go there? Because
If you take photos, Bree, they may arrest you and
no, they
your
encourage
spy.
it because they encourage it because other people posted, and But I wonder if
they were in America.
Or would they be under sanctions? Like, am I allowed to go there? Like, there are ATMs here from the banks which are in Iran, and I don't use them because I think I'm not allowed to. I think they're under sanctions or something.
Yeah, that's right. The Americans have recently said that they're enforcing sanctions to any country that deals with Iran will not, will be placed on some sort of secret probation.
The UAE must have a pass.
Well, there were for either 6 or 10 months. The U.S. government had excused certain nations to give them time to stop dealing with Iran. But
I don't know how we would do that here because we just have so many businesses and so many businessmen that are run, by Iranians. So I don't know how we do it. I guess try to figure it out.
Let me ask Ray. Ray, what are you showing us? Because it's not going on the screen, so you got to say something in order for the picture to
make it big.
It's some classified ads
in Russian.
What are they?
I will show you.
Wait a second.
can't read Russian.
Everybody
it's
shut
a
up.
Russian newspaper. It's a Russian newspaper.
Yeah.
It's a Russian newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the hell it is. It's sitting here.
Show
in
us the
lobby.
hot Russian chick again.
Oh, you want to see the Russian chick with the?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that's the
Not
Ivanka
bad, huh?
Trump of Russians.
Is hot Russian chick.
And I think this is an ad over here. I think there's an ad over here for Russian phone sex. Let me see. Where is that? I'm pretty sure.
There
I
was
have to
something
find it.
about we speak Russian or something.
Yeah, right next to that one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
comrade,
Here we
rub
go.
you there.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think this is like Russian phone sex. I think that's Russian phone sex.
Either that or
$10.
$10. Come on.
Yeah, well,
Is that a cat?
You get some babushka.
Yeah,
And this is
And
the
all the
paper.
vodka you
Wait a minute. Who's got a cat?
There's a cat here?
No, I hear a cat
Like a
mewing.
No, that's a baby screaming or something
Yeah.
and
Oh,
down the hall. You
Oh,
can
I
actually
see.
hear that?
I see.
I could barely hear it sitting here.
Hey,
Oh,
listen.
wow.
You hear this? I now that I'm out of sync, I can go back into sync the minute I get rid of you guys. Anyway,
A lot of good that'll
that's
do.
our theme, and I want to thank Phil, and I want to thank Eddie. Nice new addition to our citizen panel. Charlene, always good to hear from you. Of course, at the very top, going back down, there's Charlie Wallace, and there's Ray Renati. Is your play almost over with Ray, or one more weekend?
No, we're done.
You're done. Oh, okay. So we
Yeah.
should be seeing more of you then.
Yeah.
Ah, good. And finally, from the lovely shores of Dubai, it's Bree. Thank you all, everybody. Why don't you just give a big wave goodbye, and we can call it a night. Okay? There we go. Let me get rid of them, and then I will suddenly probably go back into sync. There we go. Did you see that, folks? I popped back into sync. Anyway, that's our citizen panel for tonight, and a good one it has been, and a good night it has been, with virtually no fuck ups. And I like the fact now that we can actually do close-ups on each of our callers, because I figured out how to do that. Coming up next is the intersection with Jack Bishop, and then tomorrow night at 9:30. Always remember, it's Damian Chaplin in the Exchange. You should be listening. It's part of your listening habit here at GabNet. And then, of course, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, I'll be back here holding down the fort. Same time, at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, please tell her I love her, okay? Bye, everybody.